welcome everyone to the XLNC Heavy League. I'm Jake Kelton, and I am honored and incredibly excited to welcome everyone to the first league that XLNC has ever run. We are known within the amateur esports community for running a lot of weekly tournaments and weekly events, but this is the first league XLNC has ever run. It's the Heavy League. These teams are platinum to diamond, and this is week one. This is day one. This is do or die for all the teams to start the season off correctly. So while we are here, let's quickly introduce the total number of teams that are playing in the league, because we got to roll straight into our games tonight. Starting off, I want to introduce TPG Flare, Booyah Exiles, FGCU Thunderbirds, FSU Garnet, the Competitive Gaming League at the University of Illinois at Chicago. Yes, it's a very long name. We're just probably going to call them CGC for most of the league. Akuma Glaze, Glacial Tempest, and World Class Outlaws. We've gone through all of these teams. We've done a lot of analysis. There should be incredibly competitive games between these teams, as all of them have something special and amazing to bring to the games and to the league as a whole. We're just honored that these teams have come out and participate in XLNC's Heavy League. I do want to introduce the broadcast team tonight and make sure to get that out there, as Monocle is going to be running the broadcast. Incredible guy who's been doing a lot of work for XLNC. Myself and Nit will be taking over the casting, but where I'm going to send you right now is our one and only XLNC analyst desk, which tonight has Diatropa and Rude covering and talking about FSU Garnet taking on FGCU Thunderbirds for our first game tonight, a rivalry between two collegiate Florida teams. They have to showcase which Florida team is actually the best in this best of three first game series. Analyst desk, take it away.
Thank you so much, Jake. I'm Diatropa. I'm joined by Rude here on the desk. And I just want to kind of dive right into these teams. I've seen both of their champion pools as we prepare for this. And what I'm struck by as I look at their relative champion pools going in is not only their strong potential bottom lanes, but I think that their solo lanes stand out a lot, and they have massive champion pools to draw from. So I'm really curious to see how that'll kind of play out in draft. Is there something, or maybe a lane that you might be looking at, Rudude?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, particularly for the Thunderbirds here, we take a look at their champion pools that we've sort of drafted up ourselves, and looking at the three carry roles, top, mid, and ADC, we're filling two lines with the amount of champions that these guys, we feel like they could comfortably play, and that they'd be able to whip out on this game number one that they'd be able to play with. And I'd probably like to focus in a little bit onto this mid lane pool, because we talked a little bit about, or we haven't talked, but we've mentioned that they share, a couple champions. The Tilia, for example, something that's not very often seen in the meta, but in situations where a teams share a pick in a 3-game series like this, the Tilia priority could be something that we see alter how a draft would work in general. So something just to keep your eye out for. Not to say that Tilia will be 100% presence in this tournament, but maybe a spicy game 3 pick for one of the teams to look out for.
Yeah, I definitely think that being able to see the Tilia in the best of 3 as people are kind of forced to dig deeper and throughout the course of this tournament is going to be really interesting. For this game specifically, I'm looking at the possible Echo Flex pick as well, because there are a lot of players on both sides that have that in their champion pool, and being able to take that away from a potential Syndra matchup who's been really powerful recently is going to be really important. The other thing I'm looking at is the bot lane matchup, because FSU's support actually is off role for this game. They're playing out without a long-time support who's actually ended up moving on to other larger leagues. But here, because of the off-role support that we have, I think we might actually get to see some spicy picks in the bot lane, where in order to get a favorable lane matchup for maybe their mid or top laner, we might see, some interesting things. I've got some stuff in my draft prep that I think looks a little bit troll.
Yeah, we've got a couple of things in the works that could potentially be picked up for this particular support. We won't spoil anything, just in case we do end up getting one of those resident sleeper Lulu Karma players, but that's not something that I'm expecting in this particular series from Garnet this time round. And if we do see one of those slightly atypical supports, I'll say it, that we could see them trying to facilitate their solo laners a little bit more, you know, picking up some early swiftness boots, mobility boots maybe, to try and get into the solo lanes, get around and get some advantages around the map and get some extra gold in the pockets of these carries for them to try and take this game to another, or take a victory in this first game.
Absolutely. Starting the best of 3 off strong is going to be really important for both of these teams. They are both collegiate teams, so are going to be representing their universities, and momentum is going to be able to carry through this best of 3, I think, where you kind of have to, in a best of 3 where you are having to face the same team multiple times, keep up that kind of mental state where you can continue to do maybe some off-color things, you know, try and make plays that might be low percentage just to try and come back into the game. And you don't want to get into that mentality going into, let's say, your last game.
No, definitely not. And I want to quickly touch on something that you mentioned with, you know, both of the teams being collegiate. You know, this is a real point of pride for these teams. 2 Florida universities here going head to head in game number 1 as well. The amount of raw story that we've got just in this first series alone really is going to set the tone for XLNC in general as well. This new league that we've got going. This game number 1 is going to be, you know, the showcase essentially for which team is the pride of Florida in Collegiate League of Legends.
I'm really excited to see them claim their champions here. And then just before we pop into the game, I'm curious if you had to pick perhaps a player to look at in this game, who would be your player from the analyst desk to be watching to see what kind of potential they bring to the future of the series?
So I'm going to go with this mid laner here for Thunderbirds right now. Rabadon, honestly, I feel like the champion ocean that he provides is going to open them up so much possibility in the draft that if they need to make a R5 pick work, that he's got the potential to pick a counter to any form of mid laner that the side of Garnet can pick up. So I feel like the potential that they've got with this mid lane champion ocean essentially really opens them up to a favourable mid lane matchup and a snowball with the most useful role being able to get themselves ahead, I think.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to see this game. Thank you so much for joining me, Rudude. We're going to send it back over to the casters. Have an excellent game, and we'll see you on the other side.
All right, thank you so much to both Diatropa as well as Rudude. You guys have done an awesome job breaking down this game and exactly what they were saying, Mitt. It is the pride of the Florida State as a whole. We're launching straight into the pro draft picks and bans. I know everyone, it's not as fun as jumping straight into client bans, but that's okay. We want to give these teams the best opportunity possible to be able to play the correct champions and to play the best that they can play. This is game number 1, so they know they have a series ahead of them, but I'm just excited about what these teams are going to bring to the table for the very first game of Heavy League. Mitt, you did some breaking down earlier. Do you agree with the analyst desks that the games should favor FSU as a bit more of a competitive team, but FGCU might have some things in their pockets?
Yeah, I agree 100%, and I am super excited to be on this cast tonight that we are bringing to you guys. But let's get right into the game. So, FSU. I like their mid-jungle synergy. They look like they've got... just looking at champ pool, right? You've got Talia, you've got Silas, you've got a lot of good mid laners that can skirmish around, and the jungler seems to be on the same page with a lot of skirmishers like Graves, J4, Olaf, and I'm not surprised to see that banned away. But yeah, so I'm surprised to see the Zoe ban, though. That kind of caught me a little bit off guard, but we're going into the first picks right now. We see the Ashe already getting picked up for FGCU, which is already leaning towards maybe a teamfight pick / composition. Ashe can kind of slot into both, but they're going to need to pick up some extra damage in another lane because Ashe by herself, as we all know, is not the traditional hyperscaling AD carry that we know and love.
Yep, so big thing to note with that Ashe first pick is that also neither team has banned Talia. I know the analysts were talking about how both teams have players that can play that Talia, but they're worrying about mid lane later. It is very, very common in the current meta to pick your bottom lane first, and then maybe either grab your jungler or your mid laner, saving yourselves that top laner for the later half unless you are absolutely confident in who you want to have in that top lane solo, but that's also hotly contested. So I'm expecting FSU to maybe be rolling that Galio that they just locked in for that mid lane, but it could be flex top lane, or sorry, excuse me, support, but it could be flexed mid lane is what I'm saying. And so by picking up this a bit more flexible composition, it leaves more things in the question marks for FGCU on what it is that they actually want to grab, as they grab themselves the Karma as well. So loving the fact that both teams are trying to keep some of the play style that they want to come into this game a little bit hidden with these flex picks.
Oh, I do like the Graves pickup though. I personally theorized that FSU was going to ban away the Graves because he's such a strong skirmisher right now, and he's very, very versatile in the role that he can fill. But it looks like it's going to be an Echo pickup. So even though we're seeing an Echo, a Karma, a Galio, neither of these teams are really wanting to lock in anything definitive right now. That we can flex the Galio, like you said, support mid. We can flex the Karma top, mid, or support, right? But whenever I see a Karma, I start to think to myself, okay, where's the bulk of your damage going to come from? And if it's going to be the Graves, that's fine. But your Graves has to get ahead. If your Graves fall behind, the entire team composition basically falls apart. Fiora
Exactly. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt at all. Go ahead and finish what you're saying.
No. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I definitely agree that Graves is one of those early game super strong junglers. He's able to really take over just off of pure damage. If he gets snowballing, say he starts the game within the first 17 minutes is 5-0, he can absolutely just smash his way through that mid game. He's going to be bursting down the enemy team before they're able to build enough armor and resistances to be able to deal with the outburst of his burst damage. And the great thing about a Graves as well is that he doesn't necessarily have to be directly on top of something like the enemy team's ADC to be able to do that burst damage, because he is an ADC himself, so he does have some range, even if it is a bit on the closer side. So Misfortune, where she ends up kind of stopping and standing for a full ultimate or a lot of her summoner spells, she kind of stops for a moment to be able to cast those. The Graves can just throw everything onto her, burst this Misfortune down, but they're going to have to watch for this Galio taunt coming through. The Talia ban is not being shown right now for Pro Draft. That's why it's kind of airing out for you. You should see just that blue square. But the Kiana and Talia being taken away by FGCU, they did respect the mid laner of FSU, wanting to make sure that Aura Nuke didn't get something that he's really strong on.
Yeah, and I love the fact that FSU are banning away the Fiora as well to make a weaker top side. They want to team fight. They're showing that with the Misfortune. They don't want to have to be dealing with a 4-1 all game long, so they ban away the Fiora. They ban away the Malzahar. Great picks. Kiana and Talia being the bans away, targeting the mid lane. They want to give their mid laner a strong matchup, but both control mages are open right now, and that is very interesting. What?
Okay, he's just playing with us. That
oh
makes
my
a lot more
goodness.
sense.
That changes everything, because that means that's a Karma mid. But anyways, Karthus is going to be locked in. We are going to stop holding our breaths, breathe a sigh of relief. Whew, FGCU aren't going to pull out the Mega Spice today. But they do have a very interesting team composition. I haven't seen anything quite like this in a good bit. So that's going to be a Karthus mid, Ash Karma bot, Graves jungle, and Shen top. Which
that's what we're assuming, but there is some still flexibility.
Yeah, of course, you could possibly send your Karthus to the jungle and your Shen to your support and your Karma mid. But I'm generally thinking that's probably the way it's gonna go down. If I'm just thinking about it logically, because Graves is gonna get sent somewhere.
It's River Shen. Come on, everyone. Everyone knows that it's River Shen.
Oh god, River Shen. Ooh, but I'm looking at FSU's comp, and like I said, skirmish. They are looking to skirmish. They've got a Kled who can dive in. They've got a Silas and an Echo who are gonna be this mid jungle duo that can just do whatever they want. So that is gonna be a Galio support, which can also support the roam. I mean, there's a lot of global pressure. There's a lot of ability to just jump in on team fights with the Galio and the Kled, right? And if Silas steals a Shen ulti, well then he can even jump in himself. Or Karthus ulti. So there's global pressure on both sides, but I think that FSU are going to have a better time controlling the map just by the nature of their champion picks, whereas FGCU are going to have to play a bit more reactively and wait for opportunities to fall into their lap.
Right, and that's exactly with FGCU. What's really cool about their composition is that you say they kind of have to wait for opportunities to fall into their lap. Look at the champions that they picked. Karma, incredibly safe. She's got those huge mantra shields for the entire team or for herself, plus a whole boatload of slows. Ashe, who has slows with the W. Graves, who has quick draw to be able to jump in or out of fights. Shen with the taunt if someone steps forward just a little bit too far. Follow up here, right? Think with me. Kled and goes to engage. He jumps jumps into the enemy team with his charge. Maybe Echo's following up as well. Shen immediately jumps in, taunts everyone as the Galio is trying to follow up on top of it. Well, then Karma and Graves, and they just kind of back away, and they pull away from FSU's engage, and then they say, now that you've burned all of these big spells, what are you going to throw at us? We can now harass you on your way back because we have a Karthus who's just going to be pelting you with Qs your entire way back to your fountain. So the idea is that they get engaged upon, they can kind of back up, wait, and kind of burn off a lot of those big engage tools, and then respond in turn. I don't see too many hyper-aggressive plays besides that Shen and Graves. You get the taunt, you get the burst from Graves down, but that's okay. You also have really good pick with the Ashen Channel Crystal Arrow. So a lot of options for that team, but obviously a huge amount of damage from FSU's lineup. Let's go ahead and introduce both teams because we haven't actually introduced the players for either team yet. And we have at least 2, but hopefully 3 awesome games tonight to get to know these players as we are starting up game number 1, the official client picks and bans. Doran for the side of FGCU in the top lane. Ronaldo, the captain of the team, with the Graves in the jungle. Rabadon with the Karthus in that mid lane. So it's not a jungle Karthus, it is that mid lane as you predicted. Thomas should be running the Ashe as that ADC in the bottom lane, with Shida Kane on the bottom lane with the Karma support.
And on the other side of the rift, bringing up the red side, we have in the top lane, FSU Pain piloting the Kled, Jaster Mariel on the Echo, Ora Nuke on Silas, Gristlestick 2 gonna be bringing up the AD carry, and Pupcake, of course, on the support, which is probably going to be a Galio, unless they do some switching. That always confuses me. I don't know why. Those 2 words. At the very last second, but I don't think that's going to be happening. But anyways, so like you were saying, FGCU gonna have to play more reactively. FSU has more of the power, and I wanna notice the power disparity in the bot lane, right? Misfortune and Galio, super strong, in your face. We want to wombo combo you, we want to smack you down. Ashe and Karma, we want to poke you from a distance. We want to shield and play safe and scale into the late game, right? So we have the power is on 2 different sides of the map here for FSU and FGCU. The mid lane Karthus has to come online, right? Ashe, if we just look at pound for pound damage between Ashe and a Misfortune, if they're on the same power level, Misfortune's probably going to outdamage the Ashe, right? But right. Karthus is like the X factor, you know what I mean? Karthus can get super, super far ahead, and he can get super, super far behind. He's kind of a little bit of a wild card here. So if he's able to farm into the late game, able to get some Dark Harvest decks going on, he's going to be a massive threat, right? But if this Echo, this Silas, this dominant duo is able to put pressure onto Karthus, he's going to have a really, really hard time farming. And let's say that they do decide to leave him to his devices, his bot lane is going to suffer for it.
Yep, it's kind of one of those things that if you try to be selfish and take all of the resources for yourself, even though it can potentially get you super far ahead, your side lanes can be hurt. And exactly what you're saying with this disparity in the bottom lane, the Misfortune and Galio, their wombo combo, their ability to duel together with the taunt that Galio has and the Misfortune post 6 bullet time is devastating. Even without the bullet time, you still have the double up that can come in and bounce off of either a minion or one champion to the other champion. All they need to do is have a little bit of crowd control from Galio to come through. So the positioning of the Karma, in my opinion, is going to be absolutely crucial in the bottom lane to not set up some of those plays from FSU, because you want to be poking on the Karma. Especially as a support main myself, I know that frustration, you need to step close enough to be able to harass the enemy team, stack up your support item, get some gold income, because that's really how you get gold, is with that support item poking away on the enemy team champions. But you have to be far enough away that Galio is not going to jump in with the Justice Punch, taunt you, hit you, Misfortune pumps damage into you, and suddenly you find yourself dead. So that disparity is going to be really, really crucial. The other thing I want to note from FSU is how many level 6 is the go button for that team. Mm-hmm. Everybody hit 6. It's time to party. Let's engage and look for some kills. So once we hit those level 6s, level 7s, after each, the side of FSU has been able to recall once, maybe even twice, that's when their really go button is going to start to come online. I wouldn't be surprised if they play back in that early game pre-6 and just try to be patient and farm up, knowing that their power spike is coming once they hit those big ultimates.
Yes, that could be a very viable strategy for FSU, but if I'm looking across the map, right, I'm looking at FGCU, we see a Graves, we see a Karthus. Now, Graves is traditionally known as a skirmishing type jungler, one who can get really good scuttle control, right? But Karthus isn't traditionally known for a champion that has really great river fights. A Sylas is going to out 2v2 a Karthus, an Echo Sylas is going to out 2v2 a Graves Karthus pretty much every single time, in my opinion, as far as I'm reading this matchup, right? So Graves might be relegated to more of a farming role, which is it's viable for Graves as well, because he can clear very, very quickly and then move to prio. But in terms of these river fights, I'm giving the edge over to Echo and Sylas. And so what that means is that Echo and Sylas are going to have control over the map for those first 6 levels, like you said. Yes, they want to wait for the level 6s to go on, but Echo and Sylas are still quite effective at dueling before they get their level 6s. Sylas has plenty of CC, plenty of sustain in that, and Echo has plenty of mobility and CC that he brings to the table as well. Whereas Graves and Karthus have plenty of damage, but no hard CC. Graves has good mobility, but Karthus does not, right? So these are the things that make good duelists, 2v2 duelists. So the edge goes over to Echo and Sylas to have that early control in the river, levels 1 through 5. Level 6 gets a little dicier. There's tons of damage that can come out from the Karthus and the Graves, and the Shen can also ult in, which is the X factor.
Very good point.
Right.
Because even if you think that you have that man advantage, suddenly Doran shows up with that Shen ultimate, and you're going, wait, this is not fair. You brought more people to play. I didn't ask for this. But then, of course, you do have the Galio that can come in as well. So it's going to be a key point to watch as well, where these junglers not only position around the mid laners, as you're saying, but also around the neutral objectives, because the meta just seems to go further and further and further, strengthening how powerful getting these Drakes, stacking them up for an Elder Drake can be. And this is a series. So the information that you get from game number 1 can be critical as you're launching into game number 2 and 3. But I believe we are very quickly jumping onto Summoner's Rift for game number 1 between FGCU and FSU. We need to hear in the chat right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you are supporting either one of these teams, let us hear it with a hashtag FGCU win or a hashtag FSU win. There's a bunch of people I got to shout out and thank for following, because we are launching very quickly in the game, faster than I expected. We've got the Pokemon Gamer 1 Era Ridgeside. I totally destroyed that. I am so sorry. Risage, there we go for the follow. A Hotem Mitt for the Twitch Prime sub. Rudude 1, Lucifer's Eyes. I'm just trying my best to get through everyone. Cutie, Pebbles, love the name. Spidey, Webs, Milk Guzzler. You guys are all fantastic. Thanks so much for those follows. Whew, got through them. We're on to Summoner's Rift. Game 1. This is just incredibly exciting. Both teams deciding to play defensively for this very first game of the Heavy League split.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, it's the first game. You don't have a whole lot of intel. All you have is like your initial scouting reports of enemy compositions. So I'd like that both teams are playing it cautiously. They don't want to throw away anything too early. They even put wards down where the junglers are supposed to be, just so that the junglers can stand on in the bot side of the jungle with their team. So I like that. So one thing that we were talking about pregame that I wanted to touch on really quickly before we really shoot into this game, just a little bit more pregame analysis. The Shen, right? The Shen can ult in onto those 2v2s in the mid lane. But if you look on both sides of the map, Galio has a semi-global and Kled has a semi-global. So if the 2v2 happens on the top side of the map and then Shen ults in, Kled can come down, make it a 3v3. If it happens on the bottom side of the map, Galio can come in, make it a 3v3. So the Shen ulti is to some degrees a little bit nullified depending on the positioning of these fights.
Right. Now, what I'm also curious about is, do the junglers just completely ignore the mid lane and instead look for a small skirmisher fight on the top or bottom side of the map? Because while I completely agree with you that mid is super good to control, and there's all of these, kind of squishy champions, especially if you're looking at that Karthus in the mid lane, Graves can absolutely burst down a Kled in the top lane if Shen is able to find that early taunt. So there is some possibility that he looks for a quick jungle, tries to get an item, and then run to the top lane and look to grab this Kled before Kled hits level 6. Now he's got to obviously watch where Jaster Mariel is on this Echo as well, and where they're kind of positioning around. I also do want to say in chat, I did note that you all are calling him Tomas, so I will make sure to call him Tomas from now on. I'm trusting you. Don't be trolling me. It's not Thomas, it's Tomas. So we're gonna be using that. But yeah, slow start from the beginning. Not shocked at all. Junglers just hard farming, getting their first buffs, and then we'll see where it is they decide to prioritize.
So if both of these junglers decide to just clear, I'm going to give the edge to Graves early on because he's going to get the most value out of just purely clearing. Echo does want to be stacking his Dark Harvest. He does want to get some good ganks off early on, and he does want to make the 2v2 skirmish happening. But we can already see Silas grabbing mid prio, pings coming out for the topside scuttle, and we might see some action over this topside scuttle right now, but it looks like Graves is wise to it and is pathing bot already.
Yep, he's headed towards the bottom side, even pinging out that he might be going for that Scuttle Crab. It has been early warded by FSU, so they should see him if he decides to jump directly there. Echo was visiting top lane for a moment, but with Shenby kind of pushing underneath his own turret, there's not a whole lot of action to be started. And again, it's a little bit dangerous to try to be diving in those first couple of levels as that Echo when he doesn't have that ultimate to retreat if he gets himself underneath the turret a little bit too far.
Yeah, and I'm already seeing great communication and teamwork from FSU. As soon as he pings, I'm going for this bot side scuttle. Look at Karthus. Perfect prio. Bot side, perfect prio. Even Sheeta coming up to help him support that. Getting the good vision on the top side of the jungle, so they know, or in the bottom side of the jungle, so they know that Echo is here in the top side, taking the top side scuttle right now, as this Scryer Orb revealed the bottom side. And, excuse me, Pain is able to get prio, really secure that for Jaster. But you know, I'm surprised that Jaster didn't go looking for more trouble earlier on, trying to match the same side of the jungle that Graves is going to be on, that Ronaldo's going to be on, because I think he could have taken the 2v2. But instead he goes to take his Krugs while Graves is taking Scholar. So that kind of throws off his timings a little bit. And it might be a while before he can get a good read on exactly where Ronaldo's going and really pull off that 2v2 that's going to be pretty critical to his early game.
Yep, a lot of that early game vision, especially through that river and jungle, has kind of gone down. You could even see the FGCU has been able to drop a large number of wards on this bottom side of the map, plus that Scuttle Crab, so they kind of control priority around that early Drake. And keep in mind, Graves can hop over the back of the Dragon Pit and try to take it down. It's risky to do solo in the early game, but maybe you get the Karthus to come up and drop a couple of those Qs over the wall to help him out as well with that isolation damage that can come through. So there are still some options for FGCU. It's been a slow start to the game. A very small gold lead. Mostly that's just farm discrepancy between the lanes. As whoa, hold on, they might have caught out the Karma in the bottom lane. Taunt coming through for the Galio, but he's been caught out himself. Graves in the bot lane. Flash for flash. They're trying to burn on the Galio. The heal from Grizzle Sticks will not be enough. It's first blood going to Ronaldo with a good gank timing in the bottom lane. Dorn forces the flash to the top lane, but Pain can flash in response as well. Drops the shotgun and finishes them off. It's a 1-for-1 trade between both teams, but priority for FGCU onto the Drake.
Mechanics coming through for FSU playing FSU paying a perfect flash forward into the pocket gun, but we're still going.
Oh, Tomas, you are gone as more flashes burn. They're looking for blood. The Karthus ultimate, he's hit that 6 early. He's gonna drop and pick up Griddle Sticks. Kled is TP'd in the bottom lane, looking for more fighting in this river. Drops the charge. We said that post 6 was when the action will get started. Well, not even everyone had their ultimates, and some more kills went through. It's 3-2 in favor of FSU.
Yeah, this game is an absolute powder keg just waiting to blow, and we saw that here in the bot lane. Pupcake taking some greedy path and going for some vision on the dragon, gets caught out of position. He was not cognizant of where Ronaldo was. He gets pinched out, picked off early on, but then FSU trades the kill in the top lane, so they think, okay, Shen's dead. Maybe we can go for something here. And then just even more disaster spells through. And but at the end of the day, FSU is able to pick up the dragon, and the gold lead is relatively untouched, so not too bad, all things considered.
Well, and a lot of that issue was that most of the people hadn't even recalled yet. You look to the bot lane and you say they were fighting on literally starting the game items. They hadn't had a chance to recall and buy anything, and especially that Misfortune started the game off with a cull, so even less damage being able to be brought to the table. But for FGCU, once they lost that Karma and the players were just, their health bars were too low to deal with the burst that could come out from both the Echo and the Kled. So seems like there's going to be more action happening in the bottom lane. Pupcake a little bit slow to find the taunt, unfortunately, so even with the Echo there, they weren't able to get much ounce in that bottom side.
Yeah, Echo hasn't really gotten off the kind of ganks that he would like to, or the kind of fights off that he would like to. There's a little bit of a window here for the Karthus right now. He is quite pushed up. Ronaldo taking his Krugs right now. But in this top side, one of the things we do have to note is that FSU did use his teleport, and Doran was able to save his. So Doran's going to have double global advantage, but Ronaldo setting up the dive.
Yep, Ronaldo coming to the top lane, forcing the Kled to run between the two turrets. The damage coming out, will it be enough? Pain trying to run away. He already used Bear Trap on the rope. He's knocked off his Scarl. The damage is coming out from Ronaldo. A solo kill. Who needs a Shen to help. Hex Flash in the bottom lane because Pupcake wants some more action. That's the burst we're talking about. Taking down the Karma, who needs the ADC. Let's feast off the support.
Yeah, I love how Pupcake is like, hey, you may have killed me in the river, but guess where we're not anymore? The river. We're in lane. We're in my territory right now. Goes in with the Justice Punch, gets the taunt off. Grizzlestick is there to pick up the kill. Very nice stuff. 2 kills are already on the Misfortune. She's about 12 CS up as well. 12 CS up, which is about 2 waves. You gotta be feeling pretty good if you're Grizzlestick right now in FSU.
Yep, feeling really good, but also keep in mind, we talked about the scaling and early power of the Graves. Ronaldo currently sitting at 2-0-1 and solo killed the Kled in the top lane. Granted, Pain was at half health running between the 2 turrets, but it still showcases that this Graves is not to be trifled with. They're trying to make a play onto Rabadon in the mid lane. He's going to be in trouble, taunted up. I don't know that Karthus is going to be able to escape this with the exhaust coming down. Where did the damage disappear? Oh, they had Requiem from the Sylas stealing it away, but it's not going to be enough to actually grab the Karthus because the Shen ultimate coming through. Stand United saving his teammate Doran with the save.
There goes my hero, Doran, you legend. Oh my gosh, absolutely saving Rabadon in the mid lane. Now, one thing that I want to note about the beginning there. So Pupcake comes in, right? He comes in on the deep flank angle, gank angle, and then he throws out his Justice Punch, but it barely collides with the terrain. If he had just hit that Justice Punch, had been a little bit further out into the mid lane, they would have just killed Rabadon right away. But anyways, some skirmishing here on the top side.
Yep, Jaster as well as that Sylas looking for Ronaldo. Quick draw gets him out of harm's way. He's got the red buff for some of those slows as well. Doran, where are you going? Coming around the side. Rabadon coming from that mid lane. The taunt's going to land, but it's onto Pupcake, the tanky member of the Galio. He's going to try to find the taunt. It's going to come through, but he still end up going down. The Karthus dies, but he's got that Pain coming around all around him. Throws down the Requiem as well. Keep in mind, Thomas is here. The Ashe throwing out a couple of autos. Isn't able to steal away the kill on the Echo away from Karthus, so Jaster will fall, and it's straight onto the Rift Herald for Ronaldo, as again, FSU is trying to make these plays, and FGCU are responding so nicely every time.
Yeah, you know, traditionally when you take teleport on an AD carry, it's just to get back to wave and get better resets, right? But Tomas is like, no. He's been watching too much top lane. He teleports directly into the fight, picks up a kill for him. Oh, he doesn't pick up a kill, but he secures a kill for his team. Being that supportive kind of AD carry that he is on the Ashe. Good stuff from Tomas. I like the use of the teleport there. He isn't gonna have it in the lane, right? So his CS is gonna suffer a little bit. He's almost 25 down right now. But I think he's starting to realize that he's gonna have to play more of a supportive role this game. Ronaldo is the star right now. He has the damage. He's 3-0. He's got a good CS lead over the Echo, and Echo hasn't been able to make any early skirmishes really pay off yet. So Ronaldo is looking to bring his team to the forefront of this game, but on the flip side of things, Grizzlestick creeping slowly ahead. You know, a lot of times AD carries can fly under the radar if they're just farming, right? He's only got 2 kills. It's not super impressive, but the CS differential is nothing to scoff at, and that gold is going to stack up. He's about to finish the Cole, and he's going to give him an even bigger power spike.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Once that call comes through, keep in mind, this Misfortune has already finished off that Essence Reaver, so absolutely going to hurt, plus has those little extra cooldowns, so can get some of those summoner spells out, including the ultimate, more often as we get into more and more skirmishing, just like you talked about for FSU. They love to fight, they love to get bloody, and they're doing a good job so far this game about keeping the tempo fast and furious. They've started up the Infernal Drake for themselves. Sylas is stealing away that Ashe ultimate, so the Enchanter Coaster Arrow coming through, they're looking for the Graves. The bullet time is untouched, with 3 members taunted. The engage continues. The Karma is sectioned off. Thomas will fall. Grizzlesticks will pick up the kill. They're charging under the turret trying to find this Karma. I think Kane is gone. Kane sent back to the fountain. Doran is here trying to save his teammates, but the Shen may end up just hopping over the wall into multiple members. He's looking for Grizzlesticks. He dashes away, taunts up the Echo, but that's only to his own demise. It's an ace for FSU at the 12-minute mark.
Oh my gosh, not only just an ace, but a clean ace into a dragon, getting even more kills on your Sylas and your Misfortune. Grizzlestick gets the most beautiful bullet time I've ever seen. Oh my gosh, over 3 members. Nice knockups from Pupcake, getting the taunt off. The follow-up by Oro, the follow-up by Jaster. PSU going in for the dive to clean up the kills afterwards. And then we see Doran is just stuck in the backline between a rock and a hard place. It just gets cleaned up on the tail end of that fight for the clean ace, but on a little bit of an overstay, might get punished here.
Yep, the flash coming through from Pupcake trying to run away. Grizzlesticks hasn't burned flash yet, but the TP's coming in. Everyone's got some teleports, and I think FGCU may have overstepped. Unfortunately, the taunt doesn't come through, but that's just fine. The Silas is here, wraps the Karma up in chains, and where they were trying to get a quick engage before the recalls came through from FSU, and they were able to buy with their new gold, that doesn't matter because those TPs were up for FSU, and they grabbed themselves those kills without, or the kill, without Misfortune burning flash. So Grizzlesticks still has that available.
Oh, and we still got some action in the mid lane.
Rabadon, a little bit of trouble, just scuffling away with Jaster Mariel, forcing out that Echo ultimate. Top lane, Ronaldo backing away from the turret after a single shot, using the Rift Herald up there to grab first turret gold to FGCU. So they're not out of the game just yet, only a 2,000 gold difference between the two teams, but you can just feel how FSU want to keep this tempo up.
Yeah, the double TP bot might have been a little bit of an overcommitment. What looked like an overstay from Gristlestick actually turned out to be a Gigabrain bait for the side of FSU. But I think they overcommitted just a little bit too many resources, so they end up losing the top Herald and the top tower for their troubles. So that does equalize the gold out a little bit. There still is a pretty comfy lead here for FSU, so it's not the end of the world for them. They do pick up 2 kills. The gold is in the right places. It's on your Kled, it's on your Silas, it's on your Misfortune, so that's really great news. On the other side of the map, Ronaldo did get shut down, but the Karthus is still scaling, still picking up Dark Harvest stacks, so things aren't completely over for the side of FGCU. They are still showing that they have some life in them, and Karthus is still getting Dark Harvest stacks. That is infinite scaling. Eventually, he's just going to be one-shotting people basically with his ultimate, so that's something to watch out for. As long as Karthus is alive, scaling, getting Dark Harvest stacks, getting farm, it's a time bomb basically for FGCU to get back into this game.
Well, and you say that if he's alive, he's got these opportunities. Well, here's the fun part about Karthus. Even if he's dead, he can still drop that ultimate. So eventually, Grizzlestick might be in a little bit of trouble. And I want to reference back to the fight around the Drake and how we talked about the composition. Well, the Thunderbirds may not give me an opportunity as FSU finds another 2-man taunt. But whoa, they actually canceled the Misfortune bullet time, or was that a mistake? I couldn't really see. Requiem's going to come through and make it at least a trade of ADC. So both sides are going to pick up one. I'm not sure what happened to the Misfortune ultimate.
Yeah, that was a really well-timed crystal arrow from Tomas. As soon as he's about to get CC'd, he drops the arrow out. He knew that Gristlestick was going to drop his bullet time as soon as it was coming down. So he aims it so that it hits just Gristlestick, misses Pupcake, stops the bullet time, right? It doesn't save Tomas's life, but it does buy enough time for Sheeta to put enough damage down onto Gristlestick for the Karthus ult to come through, pick up another Dark Harvest stack, and pick up the shutdown gold. Onto Karthus. Rabadon on this Karthus just picked up another 300 gold for himself and a Dark Harvest stack. You got to be really loving that if you're Karthus. That 1-for-1 trade, the Ashe, she's 0-2, she's down CS, she's basically a non-factor in the game. Killing her versus killing the Misfortune, and the fact that that kill landed on Rabadon is huge for FGCU if they want to get back into this game.
So just a quick update that Karthus is at 8 stacks of that Dark Harvest, so building up quickly to that 10 is going to be pretty nice. But as you were saying, that kind of trade of kills favoring FGCU Thunderbirds a lot more. And I want to kind of posit this, all right? Chat, see if you can get with me on this. Maybe the Thunderbirds are so gigabrain that they actually planned for this, in which it's not an actual ADC Ashe, it's the age-old support Ashe, because they're actually trying to hyperscale the Graves and the Karthus. So it's a support Ashe and Karma. Doran going to fall in the top lane, has no support up there, but they do burn the charge out of the Kled. So at least that will be down if they decide to try to fight around the Drake coming up in 45 seconds.
Oh yeah, I mean, Doran, he's gotta be a little bit more careful. He's basically handing that kill over for free. And it looks like FSU are setting up here for a mid lane push. I really like that. But I also want to applaud Pupcake for his very, very good use of Hex Flash. He's gotten so much value out of that summoner spell, that rune in particular. It's just, he's making it look really, really good. So all you Galio players out there definitely might want to start thinking about taking Hex Flash the next time you go into solo queue.
Well, yeah, he's got that tome which allows him to get a whole bunch of different spells. So yeah, he's not just reliant on only Hex Flash, but it is definitely nice for those engages to kind of set up more of those taunts. This is where Disaster hit last time we had a big fight for the side of the FGCU, because they tried to over-engage without burning the summoner spells out of FSU, and they ended up getting an Ashe arrow to their own face. The Graves drops quickly, and everything just fell apart from there. But it seems like they're taking their time, very slowly stepping forward, just trying to scout with that Karthus wall of pain.
Yeah, both of these teams know that these fights can go either way. If Karthus is left relatively unchecked or dies in an advantageous position, FSU is in a lot of trouble. But if the Misfortune can get off a bullet time, FGCU have to wonder what's going on. But here's the taunt to start the fight.
Yep, and he's got two. The Karthus and Graves especially really critical there. However, they're trying to turn onto Jacer. That Echo going to go ahead and ult backwards. Bullet time for the Misfortune, separating the team a little bit. They've already taken down the Echo. The Ash is able to finish that one off as Thomas is on the run. They're chasing down the Karma, take out the support, and you can take out everyone else. The Requiem now coming through from the Karthus. Will it be enough to turn the fight? It actually, I think, was Silas who stole the Requiem away for the side of FSU, winning the fight. The Karthus going to be alive for a moment longer, but can't quite catch Griddlesticks out, so the Drake will go the way of FSU, and only one member slips away, Ronaldo, escaping disaster for the team.
Oh yeah, Griddlesticks almost falling there, and the way FGCU, they're just getting too scattered in these fights. They need, when they scatter and give into the skirmish, right, the Echo just fights that are all over the place. The bullet time, of course, separating that fight. But when they play into that kind of composition, that's Kled, Echo, and Silas's dream. You know what I mean? Grizzlesticks doesn't even have to do a whole lot of damage. You can just throw his ulti down. As long as he splits up that fight, Jaster, Pain, and Oranuke are just chasing them down, almost like in war tactics, how you send your cavalry in after you've broken their ranks. That's what it kind of feels like when you see Pain just ulting in, Jaster right behind him, and Oranuke dashing all over these fights. So on the side of FGCU, they need to set up some kind of wall or some kind of way to not break, because if their line breaks, it's all over, because Rabadon needs them to be stacked up.
Well, they're charging again, looking for Ronaldo. Can they catch this Graves out? He's trying to quick draw away. The shield and the heal from the Karma, trying to keep him alive, will save him, but Thomas is in a lot of trouble. Should be going down, and now without your big damage dealer, what else can FGCU bring? That is Doran in the middle of the enemy team, but look at him. He cannot survive all on his own. The Echo trying to dash in. Karthus already being taken down, but again, they're here just to grab a couple of kills and go for the second Rift Herald, and this is now twice in a row that Doran on the Shen has not been in the right position. That last fight at the bottom side, Drake, he was on the wrong side of the map. Yes, he has his ultimate, but it takes so much time to get into these fights with the Stand United, and now he again gets kind of caught out, having left Thomas completely alone.
Right. The biggest issue right now that I'm seeing for FGCU is that their front line is anemic. Doran just does not have the gold, does not have the levels that he needs to actually be threatening in this front line. So their front line is crumbling, and then you've got 4 squishies that are scrambling to the wind. FGCU needs to either start splitting the map up, but even then, that's not a great situation, right? They're just caught in a bad position, and the draft is starting to shine through for FSU. Their game plan is really coming together. The skirmish type gameplay, the really separated, erratic team fights that we're seeing really favors FSU's composition.
Well, you say that, but I don't even think it has to be erratic, or it has to be separated, excuse me. Erratic is fine. You know, they have a lot of dashes, a lot of re-engage opportunities, especially between the Silas and the Echo. They have like 4 dashes between the two of them, so they have a lot of continuing to chase and collapse. But what I'm saying is not necessarily separated, because it is now twice that Pupcake has found multiple members with that taunt, setting up for the bullet time from Griddlestick. So it actually favors FSU if you are channeled into a very tight spot. And what Drake is it that's on the map? The Mountain Drake. So there's going to be even more of those narrow passageways that FGCU can get caught in. Rabadon probably going to go down solo in the bottom lane as Oranuke just nukes him down. Doesn't even need the help of the Echo.
Yeah, just a little too far forward there for Rabadon. That's really unfortunate because he needs to be farming. So, oh no.
Yep, is engaged back there in the mid lane. Once again, 2 members taunted. Nice shield out there from the Karma, but I still think she's going to go down. Wait, Shen is here with the Stand United. He's taunted the Cloud up underneath the turret. Can they turn this fight around? No one has been able to touch Griddlestick 2, though, so they are not able to actually take down this ADC. And without finishing off the Misfortune, you lose ability to take down the damage source of FSU.
Yeah, that's a little bit of an overstep here from FSU. You know, I'm thinking to myself, what does the fight look like where FGCU are actually able to get back into it? And that one right there looked like it was a little bit more competitive, but still they weren't able to get any kills off there. But, I mean, it really does feel like FGCU are kind of waiting for a mistake from FSU. They've fallen behind almost 6k gold lead right now. And if you've ever heard me cast before, I always say 5k is the magic number. 5k is the tools that you need to really close out a game. So at this point, FGCU, as long as FSU play it right, they should have this one. But FGC are waiting for a mistake, and they have the tools to capitalize on it. They have the Asho, they have the ultimate from the Karthus to clean things up. So they have to have really good vision. They have to play a bit defensively. Let FSU come to them. Don't take any more risks. Don't be pushed past River, and maybe they can mount a comeback.
Right, the Ash Crystal Arrow into Graves collateral damage, into the Requiem from Karthus. That's more than enough to take down this Misfortune. Might be more than enough to take down Echo if he doesn't have his ultimate and is able to use that to slip away. But unfortunately, lining up those ultimates is going to be very difficult for FGCU, as Doran going to be caught out once again on the bottom side jungle, running away to his own tower. That means the top side, or mid lane, for the rest of the team trying to engage, but the Galio finding a two-man taunt. This guy always finding his targets. Rabbit on force a flash over the wall, but the bear trap on the rope is there for Clint to follow and chase it. Greaves goes down in the back of the fight. The Karthus ultimate coming through. They've taken down Misfortune. They got Griddle Sticks, but they might have lost everything else in the meantime. Ash stun up, tries to get out. Thomas goes down under the turret. The Karma escaping the mid lane, and that means FSU win the fight, but they lose at least one major member.
Payne is looking really dirty on this clip. I mean, he's just getting in there, getting the angle. He is pedal to the metal, just going in, putting the pressure on, and I absolutely love it to see. You love to see it from a Kled. You know, that is his goal, is just to dive in, cause as much chaos in the back line, in the front line, whatever line he can get to. Because at this point, it's all the same to him. He's just going to be destroying whoever he's touching, and he's just absolutely destroying right now. 9-1 on that Kled, even in CS. But we also have to look at Oranuke, who is just being a terror in these side lanes. He's already killed Rabadon, solo killed once. And at the beginning of that last fight, we saw Oranuke finding Doran in the jungle, taking him to 30% HP. And as soon as, you know, I can just hear FSU's comms right now. Oranuke's like, Shen Candle, and then boom, immediately FSU, Payne, pulling the trigger, pressing the ultimate, charging in, and boom, it's all she wrote.
And I got to say, if I'm looking even into next game, do not give Pupcake this Galio. This guy is a monster on finding those multi-man ultimates. Griddle Sticks pairing with that Doran, the bullet time. It's just way too painful of a duo. And so FSU, with an incredibly strong lead, get themselves the Dragon Soul as well. That Mountain Soul. Yes, of course they'll have that extra shield, but it's the stats that are just so tasty. It means they have even more confidence making crazy dives like the Echo chasing Ronaldo, forcing him to jump away. He does not have flash. He was expecting to be able to win this game off of brute force of kills, but unfortunately without that flash, now ends up most of the time having to run away and being unable to actually engage and find those picks.
Yeah, I mean, oh my goodness gracious right now. I'm just thinking, you know, if you're FGCU, you might want to be thinking, what is game 2 shaping up? Like you were saying, what are we going to do? And honestly, I would like to see a little bit more coherent team composition, because right now it seems like they're kind of all over the place. Rabadon wants to team fight, Ronaldo wants to skirmish, Tomas wants to pick, Shido wants to team fight, Doran wants to split push. It's like all over the place. Whereas FSU are a little more coordinated on, we want to skirmish. We want to skirmish 24/9. And Gristlestick, of course, he's like, okay, I'll just pick Misfortune and drop a really nice ulti because I believe in Pupcake and everything that he can do. But the rest of the team comp is like, we're just going to cause chaos. It almost seems like, you know, they didn't really plan for the wombo combo type composition, which you normally see with a Misfortune, where you're trying to layer CC. It almost feels like they're using that Misfortune ultimate to just split apart the team and just cause mass chaos.
Right, you can't be dealing damage if you're trying to run away. Galio ultimate coming through, won't find anyone to knock up, but again, they split up the members of FGCU. You cannot coordinate when you're always having to run away. And I gotta say, from Tomas, I have seen so few Enchanted Crystal Arrows, and even the few that we have seen have been almost all nearly defensively. So if the composition was based around this potential for picks, because you have the Karma to speed the team forward after the Ashe has found someone stunned up with the ultimate, that's a fine idea. But when you're constantly on that back foot, when you're constantly using these ultimates defensively rather than aggressively, it just means that you aren't playing to your character's priorities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it feels really bad every time you have to Enchanted Crystal Arrow to try and survive, because the whole point of the arrow is to get a pick. And if you're not getting a pick, you're just constantly bleeding resources. But Jake, I want to bring your attention right now to the item builds. And you know, you hate to see it, but Jaster and Oranuke, they're bringing out the BM. We see 2 10-stack Magi's right now. And I can only imagine those numbers going up in the near future, Jake.
Is it BM when you're already so far ahead, 8,000 gold in the lead, slightly less than that, 7.5, but you not only have a Mountain Drake to be more defensible, you're also incredibly mobile, so it's very hard for the enemy team to stick on top of you and to actually find a way to kill you. Like, I know that we consider the Magi's to be BM, but I actually see how strategically it makes sense for these champions that want to be slipping in and out of the fight, and you not only get to be assists on multiple people because you're tagging everyone with your abilities, but you also are going to be getting kills because it's a 6-0 and 8 Silas. Or a Nuke has just been massively carrying this team in damage. He's still ahead in CS over this Karthus at nearly 30 minutes into the game. This guy is a monster.
Oh my gosh, if we could just toggle vision for a second, I just want to see, you know, FGCU, they are looking dark right now. 0 Dark 100. They have absolutely nothing going on. But you are 100% right. Oranuke hasn't died yet, and it really doesn't look like how does he die? What does that look like? And I just can't. I'm trying to process it. Maybe if he dives in 1v5 and just absolutely gets the layered CC. But really, he's been playing so intelligently, so smartly that yes, he's just going to get incremental advantages with his Magi's. And Jaster only has 2 deaths but 10 assists. He's also going to be able to stack up his Magi's. So yes, it's a little bit BM, but they're saying we're not going to die. You know what I mean? We don't feel pressured by you. We don't feel threatened by you right now. We're going to be able to stack this thing up to 25, and we're just going to take it home. And the Baron getting started up with no picks whatsoever on the map.
And even if they do die, it's not the end of the world, right? Oh, I also didn't note they have the Proto Belt for extra movement, extra dashes, because why not? You already have multiple of them. Throw in another one with the Proto Belt as well. And hey, it deals some extra damage too, never hurts. Baron basically uncontested by FGCU, excuse me.
FSU.
Well, FGCU did not contest it. They just kind of came up, said, okay, we're going to make sure that you guys are starting the Baron so we know where you're at, but we just don't feel we have the ability to fight you, which is very wise. And their one hope is to find a pick, but as you mentioned earlier, with their vision being so limited, they aren't able to find that one FSU member that's by themselves and have vision on everyone else to know that they're by themselves. Because even if you just see one person, but everything is dark, it's very likely the rest of the team is right around the corner.
Yeah, and with just 15 to 10, or about 10 seconds left to spawn on this Elder, I mean, this is going to be the last gasp with FGCU. If they let this Elder go, that is all she wrote for this game. So they're going to have to make one last-ditch attempt to salvage this one. Maybe a steal on the Elder could make it happen. Can they do it, FGCU Ronaldo? The weight of the world is resting squarely on your gravy shoulders right now.
That's the question. What can this Graves actually do to steal away the Elder Drake besides hop over the wall and just start to pray? Silas TPing in from the top lane. They might be looking for this Karma once again. Karthus ultimate is Star the Requiem coming down, but it's incredibly early. They have
He's gonna get it. No, he's not. He got it! Oh my god! Oh my gosh, I think Jake just disconnected, but I'm going to keep going. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Ronaldo steals the Elder Drake, and they are back in this game, at least for now. Oh, wait, no. Duran's going to go down. It looks like Sheeta and Rabadon are the only ones left standing, but they both have Elder Drakes. That at least is going to buy them a little bit of time. Ronaldo trying to save his Elder. He's getting smacked down by Baron minions on the run right now. Oh my goodness. He's going to fall to the Hextech Proto Belt, and I'm just waiting for Jake to come back right now. I believe
I'm back. Nope.
Welcome back, Jake.
I was letting you take over. You covered me so incredibly well. I got so unbelievably hyped. I sat on my mic's own mute button that is on the cord, so that is completely my fault. Thank you for covering my butt there. That was an incredible steal pie for Ronaldo, but most importantly, Doran was sectioning so many members of FSU off to the side that's what allowed them to kind of split up the members of FSU, Ronaldo to slip in. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't mean all that much for FGCU because they're still losing the bottom side inhibitor turret. The inhibitor itself not gone down just yet. Mid lane inhibitor dropping low, but they should be able to push this misfortune off of the inhibitor. So they've been able to save their base for now. That Baron is about to time out as well. So now, without having to worry about Elder Drake, without having to worry about Baron, they can just clean up the minions and hope for another miracle pick. Well, unfortunately, though, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow coming through, stolen away by Aura Nuke, means that they pick up the Karma, so now one less defensive member for FGCU. They barely have had time to just recall or come back up from the grave, and they're sent right back to the fountains as the re-engage from FSU, not giving them a moment, takes down 2 more, looking for the inhibitors. They get it in mid and bottom side, and all that's left is Doran and Rabadon to probably watch these Nexus turrets fall.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. I mean, Ronaldo buys FGCU one last chance when he steals the Elder, but unfortunately it is thrown away by some non-judicious positioning around the bot side of the jungle, and FSU are going to be your champions for Game 1, moving into Game 2. Oh my gosh, Jake, I'm so excited for Game 2. I think it's going to be a really good one. Just need to see some adjustments in the draft stage for FGCU, and I think they can really pull something together that's going to be extremely strong.
Well, not only that, but Game 1, while FGCU definitely were the weaker team, we weren't shocked by that when it came to having looked at their drafts and looked at their players, looked at just the overall stats. FSU was the stronger team when it came to these two. But there were signs of life from FGCU that I loved to see, especially super early game. Ronaldo and Rabadon had massive damage. We talked about the weak side of Tomas and Shida, but that's not the end of the world for them as long as they could have survived a little bit. That was kind of destroyed by Pupcake's Galio. And again, Ronaldo with the steal on the Elder Drake is just so amazing to see. So that means that FGCU, they have these areas that are strong points. They're mid lane, they're jungler, but they need to shore up their bot lane when it comes to draft. And I just cannot see them giving Galio over to Pupcake a second game in a row.
Yeah, I would like to see them at least match that bot side power, right? Tomas just felt so underwhelming that entire game. It felt like he couldn't really do a whole lot, and the world was literally resting on Ronaldo and Rabadon's shoulders, and unfortunately, they just couldn't pull it through. So I think moving into Game 2, FGCU has to get a more clear game plan. What do we want going into this game? Do we want a team fight? Do we want a skirmish? Do we want to pick? And then draft completely around that. It feels like moving into their picks, the first game, they were a little bit disconnected. They didn't have a full game plan, so they really need to pull it together through here and just get a solid plan, execute the plan. I think they're going to do it. I really think they are.
I hope so. I would love to see us go to a Game 3 for our first series in the XLNC Heavy League. We're going to take a quick intermission break and be back with the analyst desk to break down this game and set us up for game number 2. Don't touch that browser because these games have only just begun. We'll be right back.